Do you remember this type of arcade games from the old times, in which you need to eliminate enemies in order to get to the big boss and win the game? What if I tell you that you need to code this game using your programming skills? As an example, you may want to use the procedural programming paradigm from the previous video, and if you do that,
お前はもう死んでいる。何?
actually it is quite possible and impossible at the same time to use procedural programming for such thing. It is possible because you know how to use functions to organize your code. However, it is impossible to maintain and manage the complexity of such system when everything is calling everything. Go to the previous video for more details. The solution we found is to use object-oriented programming. But the question is, how can we do that? Again, imagine the following situation. You are the owner of a big factory and you want to manufacture something. For illustration purposes, I will personally take a simple product such as a pen. However, I suggest you take a minute and write down your own answer. Now, in order to manufacture this pen, in another story, your own product, we need raw materials such as ink, glass, and plastic. For the moment, let's just assume that we are living before the Industrial Revolution, and we are manufacturing this pen manually. This means we need to make use of our humans' carving and installation techniques in order to craft the final product.
Yes, and stand out to the pool. Yes, the pool.
Using manual work, we are able to produce, let's say, 100 pen per week. After a certain time of producing this amount, a wealthy client has come to us ordering 1 million pieces of this product in the same time period. Unlike you have an army of people that you are ready to pay in order to help you get the job done, this task is absolutely impossible. Lucky for you, after a while the Industrial Revolution happened and brought a great change in human living conditions. At this exact moment, you decided to buy, or even create if you are a genius, a pen manufacturing machine. This machine takes as an input the raw materials and mass produce the final product you want. You have succeeded to get the machine. However, the task has not been completed yet. The machine needs to be properly configured with some important information such as the name of the product, the features of the product, and the actions the product can perform. All these information are gathered in a datasheet and provided as another input to the machine. Let's take the pen, for example. The name is a pen. The features could be something like the brand and the color. And regarding the actions, from the multiple uses of a pen, we will choose writing as our main action. And of course, there are others.
He once killed 3 men in a bar.
A pencil. I know, I've heard this.
Given different values for each of these configuration variables will produce pens that are different from each other. For example, if we specify the brand as X and the color as red, you may produce something like this. If we change the color to green, you may produce a product that is quite different, something like this, and so on. And now you are able to use your own configuration to create your own product just by specifying the name, the features, and the actions. And with that, we are able to mass produce a product for any client. And, well, that's it. That's all. End of the story. But hold on, where is object-oriented programming in all of this? Let's take again the datasheet configuration we have provided for the machine, and let's perform some name changes. The name of the product in the datasheet will still be the same, a name. The features of the product will be called attributes, and the actions will be named methods. And finally, the datasheet itself will be named a class. And to make things more organized, we will put all these elements in the form of a rectangle, and then separate them with some lines in the middle. So, now we have a class, which is a configuration file or like a blueprint to create entities. The class has a name, which is the name of the entity. The class also has attributes that are characteristics of the entity. And finally, we have methods that are actions that the entity can perform. And This is it. This is actually the core of object-oriented programming. You are working on an application in a specific business domain. That particular domain has several objects and entities that you need to take into your code. To create those entities following object-oriented programming, you need first to create classes, and then specify values for the elements of these classes to instantiate and create those entities we are talking about. And those entities are mainly called objects, and this is where the name comes from, object-oriented programming. Example, you are working on an e-commerce website. For that, you may consider creating classes such as TV, book, account, a client, or even something generic such as a product, and so on. And using those classes, you can create objects to work with. In this video series, we will concentrate on 6 main concepts of object-oriented programming. Now you know about the terms class and object. In the next videos, we will try to cover and understand the other 4 concepts that are encapsulation, abstraction, polymorphism, and inheritance. Finally, this episode wouldn't have been made without the contribution of Mr. Driss Lallaki, a professor at Institut National des Postes et Télécommunications, Rabat, Morocco. So, thank you, Professor. This is Hassan Farsi, and up to the next video.